Welcome to We'll Throw the After Party. Today, your host is filled with imposter syndrome because Sly did such an incredible opening last week, and I've scripted nothing to start our show, but you know what I do have? A tall drink of iced coffee, 3 of my best friends on screen, and all of you hanging out with us. So we'll cheers to that, just right off the bat. What a big week for us. Woo, woo, cheers, woo. Cheers. For hosts on screen, 3 comms majors and an almost PhD. Woohoo! Woo! Big times to roll through the after party. Hello to everybody watching. You're all checking in this evening. I see Bunky's here. It's a 4 Alpine week for you, drinking water and eating M&Ms. Is it like an outrageous time for you? Thanks so much for joining us. JJ saying
like
it's been
1 a.m.
Yeah. Okay, that's not too outrageous. JJ says it's been a 3 Alpine week and a 2 taco week. That's a 5 out of 5 for us. I'll take it. Mac is saying, let's go. That's right. JJ's complimenting the blue light. Listen, it's all about a transition that's going to happen later in the show. You know me loving a transition. Hello to Finn22. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Stay updated in the chat all show long. Let us know how your night's going and always chime in on the conversation. We've got a lot of games and fun tidbits planned for the next 2 hours. And we have a 17-page show doc to work through, don't we, Marissa? As you so rightfully pointed out like 10 seconds before we started the show.
Sly counted the pages. I was just scrolling through like, this is a lot. We had a lot to say this week. We just had a lot to say.
It's a lot. We're a lot. Sly, give the people our unofficial slogan for the show.
I feel like we could just call it the official slogan. We don't have
the official slogan for the show. Give it to the people.
We're here, we're queer, and we'll throw the after party.
That's right. That's right. We sure are. Alexis, I want to commend you for looking so dang cute in your pigtails this evening. And you've been rocking looks all week on your Instagram, doing the grad school moment. How are you checking in this evening on a scale of 1 to 5 whole Alpines?
We're at like 3 Alpines and the bottom half of a Home Depot purchased tortilla warmer.
I thought you were gonna say like 3 Alpines and Sassy and Tommy, but no, you just went straight for the tortilla warmer, and I like really respect that. Sly, where are you checking in?
After that Home Depot tortilla warmer comment, I'm checking it out of 5 out of 5.
Remember that you love me, okay?
As always, we always do. Marissa, where are you checking in?
I'm a little tired, so I'm going to say like 4 Alpines and an Alpine without accessories.
That's cool. I love that.
I will join you. Half Alpines.
I'll join you in a 4 full Alpines, 1 Alpine, no accessories. And I would add that I probably was at a 3 and then I stumbled across, everyone knows this beautiful moment. Like the best thing that could ever happen to someone that reads fan fiction, when you stumble across a fic that has all of your dream tags and is short enough that you can read it in one sitting. Happened to me today. And it was based on a Hallmark movie. Incredible times.
What do you define one sitting? Because you said that
80,000 words. And I did read it.
Oh, I could do that in one sitting.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you. Big wife energy from someone threatening to divorce me. And with that said, Marissa, what have you been enjoying this week other than your newfound freedom?
Okay. I've been rewatching things. I don't know why. I've just been like, I've just been rewatching really good, solid television. I rewatched all of Fleabag, and I just started is accurate, but I'm also almost finished with rewatching Ted Lasso. So
great timing. We know we're gonna get those season 3 spoilers soon.
Yeah. I also today was like, I think the statutes of limitations have expired on this spoiler, but I cannot believe that Brett Goldstein is in the MCU.
Hold on, let me get him.
He's here. He's there.
He's the iPad.
Where Roy Kent.
I am a prophet. Okay. Very pleased that he is here. I look at that every day and I think to myself, we've truly been blessed.
Truly blessed.
Yeah. And if he doesn't get a few lines written in his next appearance that are like of the candor of Roy Kent, I'll be very disappointed.
Yeah. I can't imagine it any other way.
I know. Sly, what have you been enjoying this week?
I've been enjoying a healthy, thriving, and prosperous marriage, unlike some people on screen. But I've also been enjoying, I started reading The Thursday Murder Club, which is about a retirement like village in Britain, and it's very much old people. It's very British. A murder happens, they're solving it. It's a good time. I'm not super far into it, but every time I pick it up, it's just like so delightful. And then I watched not all of Motherland Fort Salem, but from where I was waiting till the end. And oh boy, season 3, they did it. Wow. It's great. Like I said before, it's gay, it's witches. What more could you want? The way they changed how they're telling the story this season was really interesting. I thought it was well done. And so I watched all up until episode 9 yesterday, and then I watched the finale today. Oh boy. What? There was one thing that I was pretty sure was going to happen that happened. So it was like, oh, that one thing was predictable. But I had zero clue where the rest of the story was going at all. So all of that was just like, oh my god, I can't believe they went there. But yeah, it was great. It's I was gonna say it's a comfort watch, but Marissa often likes to remind me that what I find comforting is not what normal people find comforting.
Big time. Comfort
It
to
is
Sly is
Sly
deep
comforting.
emotional upset to me.
Which usually means it's comforting for me too, if people aren't aware of that. Like, if the meter is like Sly to Marissa, it's probably... Alexis, do you think it's you or me first that matches more of Sly's energy here?
I'd say probably you.
Yeah, and then Alexis is a few notches down, and then finally Marissa, yeah.
Although when I was stalking my husband and watching Pip last night, there was a comment made that like, oh, it's cute and wholesome and it's totally right for Sly. And I was like, since fucking when? Like anytime I hear Sly
was there for that moment.
Yeah, it's like deeply traumatic. But anyway.
I don't do well with like psychological mind fuck stuff. And so there was one thing that Fee was like, you won't like, and then I watched it and I didn't like it. And I think that was her point of reference, but yeah. But speaking of things that Liz enjoys that Sly also enjoys, Liz sent me a couple gigantic.
This is my shining moment of the week, everybody. This is my greatest achievement on this show.
We gotta get more
I'm
props.
not a Hermione person at all. But I started one of them. It's like 199,000 words. It's 35 chapters. I'm on chapter 8. And it's good.
Yeah! Hell yeah, it is!
It's good. It's tension. It's banter. It's like intellectual. It needs more queers. It's a little aggressively straight, but other than that,
yeah, I was surprised when you said that. I was like, since when does Sly read straight people?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really don't.
I have to say, I have 2 points I want to say about this. One is that the moments that Sly's been like screenshotting and sending to me, or the lines that Sly's been texting me to react to, are the exact beats that I had been reacting to when I was reading it. So therefore, I'm even more excited for Sly to finish it because I'm like, oh, if this is what you're reacting to now, it's just going to get better. And the second thing I'll say, Sly has not even entered the good parts of this fic. Okay.
Well,
like chapter
okay.
10 onwards is like bread and butter.
So that's the thing. You said you couldn't remember if it was chapter 8 or chapter 10 that was the big moment. So I read up until chapter 8, and then I took a little pause, and then I
I'm gonna
started
annotate
chapter
10
8
for you and
today.
send it to you so you can enjoy it with my thoughts. Yeah, it'll be very exciting. If you want to join us on this adventure, you can DM us and we'll send you the fic if you're feeling like some aggressively straight Hermione is needed in your life.
And if you're a ride or die Hermione like me, and you're also feeling like this,
We're not
join me
ride or die
on the
Hermione.
canon side of Hermione's relationships.
Send me those divorce papers. Absolutely not.
Mm.
Ready to
And
battle you out in the
if
rants.
you like the gays, I've been reading a lot of Drarry. Let me know. I'll send you some.
See, that is perfectly acceptable. I just will
That
not
is
tolerate
neutral
Ron Weasley
ground.
slander.
Actually, I have a really good Drarry fic I'll send you tonight. Okay, Alexis, what have you been enjoying this week?
I have been rewatching Leverage, which was very enjoyable, and texting about it in the group chat. No one understood, no one followed. It was great. And then you weren't there. You didn't respond. I thought you were busy.
It's an echo chamber. The group chat is an echo chamber.
Okay, you were passively enjoying. Okay, and my apologies. And then I have been I've been reading Insanity by Elisa Roth, which is an overview / investigation of how Jacqueline Kennedy's late husband screwed up mental health in America and how it resulted in prisons becoming the new insane asylum and the issues with that. So I've also been enjoying that this week.
That's cool.
I always love hearing what Alexis is enjoying. That's what you were enjoying this week. So I'm like, so what didn't make the list?
It's always like 3 academic articles and a documentary.
And I eat it up every time. I eat it up. Yum, yum, yum. Give it to me, Alexis. It's so good to hear what you're reading and enjoying. I learn something from you every week. I have been enjoying not a lot because my ear is like being very melodramatic and I could not hear properly until Thursday and I still can't hear properly. So I'm breaking my one rule, which is AirPods for the show because I can't do shit with this ear tonight. So if you notice I'm not listening to what anyone else is saying, it's because my audio feels delayed and I have captions on the screen to try and keep up. But when I could hear things, we finished Lock and Key season 3, which fantastic. Like it was a great finale. Wasn't perfect, but it was great. It definitely like closed the book in a place that was like nothing worse than when you finish a show and you feel like it's not like you're like meh, but like no, it was a good ending. I felt satisfied with it. And then I watched a movie last night that everyone roasted me for in the group chat. But I was like, you know, trying to just work through the Timothée Chalamet movies and just, you know, enjoy Timothée Chalamet fall. And I'm trying to fill a void in my heart because he's not coming to TIFF. So I did watch Call Me By Your Name. I did do it. And it was very interesting to watch it with the new Armie Hammer lens. So it was a fascinating use of time. Yeah. That's probably it.
At least you agree it wasn't a good use of your time.
No, it was a fascinating use of my time. And then I was trying to, you know, have it was. I was trying to have 5 minutes of peace to myself. And then the internet decided to blow up about Don't Worry, Darling. And I had to like rush make a bunch of content because the whole internet started losing it. So if you're here from the Don't Worry, Darling content, you will enjoy my rant this evening. And it is time for our rants of the week. Tonight, I'm
transition. Ooh.
Transition. I'm going to be ranting about how we can just turn the dial full speed on chaos mode for the rest of this press tour. And I've got a list of chaotic ideas to pitch. So Olivia Wilde, steal these ideas. Warner, steal these ideas. Let's go. Marissa, what are you ranting about?
I'm ranting about the Spider-Man No Way Home More Fun Stuff edition poster. The internet has moved on from it, but I haven't.
Should you? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Sly, what are you ranting about?
So this week I did not have a rant. Shocker. When do I ever? So I put out a little ask on Instagram, and a friend of the show, Mac, hi Mac, suggested how to make the perfect template. So I'll be ranting about how to design a perfect template.
Great. Can't wait. Alexis?
My rant has a title this week. So the title of my rant is, see if I can read this with a straight face.
Hold on. I'll put it up as a lower third so that people can follow along with you.
Buck as a personality hire or the misrepresentation of firefighter qualifications in LA is actually more concerning than the price of the Charlos Loft, a brief review.
Can't wait.
I didn't read the full title. Wow. Given my tertiary knowledge of 911, I'm so excited.
Yeah. I've started getting Tarlos content on my Twitter feed, you may enjoy. And I'm like, this is solely because of Alexis and Sly. It's
solely because of Alexis. I do not engage with 911 on Twitter.
Okay, well, Alexis, you're infiltrating my Twitter feed, and I'm grateful for it. Okay. Let's get the party started. So, Don't Worry, Darling is a mess. So my opinion, because y'all know me, Triple Fireside, let's just go full tilt chaos mode. Let's just go all the way and let's get worried about their next moves. Here's what I think they can do to make us continue to pay attention to this point. What does this movie have to lose? Literally nothing. 1, send Nick Kroll and Chris Pine to do the glamour friendship test. I don't think these men are friends. I would like to see them do trust falls. Send Gemma Chan to Hot Ones. This is an idea from Claire on TikTok.
Spider-Man No Way Home, the More Fun Stuff edition, which, number one, why is this movie being re-released? Let's begin with that. The pure fact that it's being released with 20 minutes of more content, 10 minutes of more content, whatever. It could have been digital exclusives. It could have been deleted scenes, but no, they have to re-release the whole movie. I'm happy for you, Sony, get your bag, but also why are we doing this? Number 2, this is the worst poster I have literally ever seen.
All right. So to make a good template, it needs to have 3 things, right? Okay. It needs to actually meet all of the needs you have. It needs to be able to give you a lot of information at once and take it in easily. And also it has to be for a problem you actually have. So the first question to ask when you're making a template is, what is the problem I'm trying to solve with this template?
So as a fan of 911 and 911 Lone Star, I have seen quite a bit of discourse surrounding how certain characters afford their homes, namely how lofts are afforded, right? How Charlos afforded his apartment and later how Carlos afforded his apartment and later the Charlos loft, and how Buck afforded his loft, right? And I think some of this is because of the comparisons to other houses on the show, like Hen and
Speaking of housing crisis, inflation. I love this rant from you, Alexis, and I want to talk about politics with you after the show. Okay, Chris Pine needs paps on him 24/7. That man wears open-toe shoes every day. Click. Let's do it. Get Nick Kroll on a GQ cover. I think it'd be chaotic. I want Chris Pine to join Harry on stage at Love on Tour and sing Agony from Into the Woods to a full stadium 2 times in a row, back to back, as the finale. I think that would be perfect. I think
I seriously believe that this poster was created solely to troll us. Like, they tried to make the worst poster possible. Why is literally every character on here? The one thing they got right is that Andrew Garfield's head is exactly the same size as Tom Holland's. I appreciate that they understand that we are here for him. We are not here for Tobey Maguire. We are definitely not here for Doctor Strange. Zendaya is front and center where she belongs, but otherwise, what
Marissa
is
keeps
this?
covering the timer. Stop talking over my time. Okay, so once you have the problem you need to solve, then you need all of the shit you need to be in the template. So make a doc and throw all the shit that you think you would ever need on this template into the doc so you can look at it and then start to prioritize, like, what is the first piece of information you need all the way down to the last piece of information you need. It should be biggest.
In Karen's home, which was in part financed on the salary of a rocket scientist. What is fascinating is that if you actually deep dive into Austin policing and real estate, you will discover that they are an incredibly highly paid police department and that they offer all sorts of cool salary incentives for education. This includes education outside of policing that they deem would be important to the job, right? So if you add all that up and compare that to the
Jimmy
above
Fallon's also doing
average,
some kind of karaoke show right now. You could send the whole cast to do karaoke and like get slimed together. I don't know how that show works, but send them to do that. Get Harry to sing the Bare Necessities, which has the line "Forget about your worries." That would be very like cliche. I think it would work. Release Florence Pugh from all remaining contractual obligations, including Venice, if that's what she wants to do. Make Harry Styles do a lie detector test and ask him about everything people don't want to know about him. His coffee order, whether he prefers LA or
First
London.
of all, Sly, in my defense, if you're in the full production mode of StreamYard right now, you can see the timer on its own screen right next to you. Let's go back to the poster. Why is Betty on there? She's literally not in the movie. She's in like one scene, maybe, I think, like off screen. She did like promotional TikTok stuff with the Daily Bugle, but she's like not in the movie. Why is Matt Murdock on there? He's also
So
barely
the biggest
in a
should
scene.
be
Oh, sorry.
the most information you need, and
Too
then
many
any
people!
additional. Oh my God. Anyways, structure it the way it flows like a triangle. You know all this shit. Next, you have to decide like what can you make quicker to interchange. So if you know you're only going to have 5 options for something, put all 5 options there, and then you can take out the ones you don't need or highlight the one you whatever.
so if you add
Make it
all of
easy.
that together and you compare it to the upper end of the average pricing for a 2-bedroom residence in downtown Austin near some amazing nightlife, it still falls within like the 1-to-2 ratio of like income stuff that's from a 30-year-old model that my father still uses. What we should be more concerned about, though, however,
Send Beanie Feldstein to the Venice carpet and get her to spill all the tea on Leaving Funny Girl so it distracts people from the mess of the movie PR. Get Olivia Wilde to appear in Emma Chamberlain's next vlog on YouTube. Tell no one. Let the internet find out organically. Finally, get Dakota Johnson to open her goddamn mouth about why she left the movie and tell her never to shut up. Get that woman in the press. People eat up every time she speaks. And finally, partner with Calm and make Harry do a horror sleep story. The end.
I just think that there could have been other ways maybe to promote this re-release of this movie that nobody asked for. I would like to use my remaining time to apologize to Sly for, I don't know, overthrowing their portion of the rants. I do sincerely apologize. I will not use visual aids in the future. Please enjoy the remaining 5 seconds.
All right. My biggest thing with the template is you get one color. And it has to be something to emphasize. So like if you're doing like a triage, whatever, you can have a red, yellow, green, right? But only one color should make it to the final form of each edition, right? And the last thing is you have to actually use the templates. And I know that sounds like an obvious thing, but sometimes you make a brilliant template and never
Should
use
be more
it. And it
concerned
has
about
traits.
the LA qualifications for firefighters, which would not be I'm lonely and hot and I need a family. Those are not the qualifications. If the 7-point system on their website does not seem like enough for you, you can listen to Tracy Eldridge explain that you have to have multiple degrees in fire science, come in the top 90 percentile of a test that was not normed for ADHD participants, and then apply multiple times to get accepted.
We had a lot happen in the past 8 minutes, besties. Like, we have to unpack that, I think, as a group at some point. But for now, I think we should give a spoiler warning because we're going to talk about the season 2 finale of Only Murders in the building. It's the last week. Well, I probably will wear this again, but last week I can wear my Only Murders sweater as we talk about Only Murders. If you're not caught up on the show, we'll see you in a half hour or so when we transition into our game of the week. But if you are caught up, shout out to Bucky, who has binge watched the entire show and is here with us live for the first time to unpack in the comments. We're so proud of you. Stick around and start throwing your thoughts on the finale into the comments right now. If you missed the finale and you want a little recap so you can stick around, you're in luck. We are going to attempt to recap this finale for you in just 2 minutes. And let me tell you, I took 4 bullet point notes about this episode. So I am very ill prepared. Oh, thank you. I took 6
bullet points.
I also watched it while I couldn't hear properly. I watched it the day it came out because I didn't want to get spoiled. Well, I got a little bit spoiled, but I didn't want to get spoiled. So I couldn't hear the show and I couldn't take notes. So I'm really ready to tell you every detail of what happened since I clearly remember it so well. But would someone else like to start in the event that perhaps I don't remember everything?
Sure.
All right, bestie, you got this. 30 seconds each on the clock, and then let's do an extra 30 seconds at the end to just, tie up any loose ends. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this in such a short amount of time. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, so the episode starts with a voiceover from Poppy, or is it Becky Butler? We don't really know. It's Becky Butler. And then we see her in a wig that is questionable. And we learn her backstory and how she became Poppy. She was working in a small town. She had a bad boss. She wanted to disappear from her life. So she faked her own disappearance to get to New York to work for Cinda Canning because she loved her podcasts. And then other stuff happened.
I'm truly trying to read Marissa's notes and Alexis' notes to figure out what happens next, and I have no idea. I don't know. They decide to have a party to reveal the killer because Selena figures out who did it in the diner. Oh my God, she gets a phone call from the detective, and then she's like, I know what it means, 14th Savage. Like, I know what it means. Then they decide to have a party. They invite the whole building. They say they're going to order cake, and then they're like, Bunny would have ordered cake from this place. And then, that joke doesn't land because they never end up ordering cake.
Okay, Lester did some light stage stuff, and by that he went to fucking Juilliard. Love that for him. They do a live stream. We love a live stream. Hello, Instagram UI. We love to see it. My next note is I fucking hate Marv. I stand by that. We got a fabulous performance from Alice with the facial expressions. Poppy was the person who texted them, and also the murderer. Dun 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 dun.
And then we get a kind of a wrapping up of that case, and we find out that Poppy was sleeping with Mr. Detective Dude, which I had a lot more issue with than his relationship with Cinda. Somewhere in there, although I don't think it's in chronological order anymore, the dad thing is given away, and we just decide we don't care about that. We don't see Wizard of Oz, and then a famous guy dies.
Yeah, and then we go forward a year, right? And we see the beginning of season 3. Yeah. Let's tap it there for now because we're going to come back and talk about how they end the episode and where they pick up season 3. I'm really impressed with how everyone else pulled it together and just let me struggle. Thank you for picking up my slack. That was really great, teamwork on the show. I love that for us. I think the first thing that we should do is bid farewell to the suspect board, which has treated us so well over the past few weeks. A round of applause, please, for our suspect board, where we've been mapping out all of our predictions. Of course, this week we don't have a suspect of the week because we know who did it. But I think we should have a little like applause, a little cheers. So if you have a drink, if you have a little bottle of water, pick it up with us and let's cheers to Alexis, who was the first to say that she thought it was multiple people involved in this. So a big cheers to you. And a big cheers to Sly, who called 3 times that Alice was going to be used and was the red herring of the season. So cheers to you. Absolutely. Marissa, I don't know what we contributed. I got nothing right. Did you get anything right?
I was right about the Son of Sam card.
Yep, you absolutely
You were. I was
Round of
wrong
applause
about
for
that.
Marissa.
I also I think I was the earliest person to call Poppy as the murderer in the episode.
Then
I said it like
in the
immediately as she walked in the room. So I'm going to own that, and I'm going to take that.
You can own that. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers to you.
Oh, I also said we had not seen the last of Andrea Martin, and I was right. Thank God.
Marissa was right about lots of things this week. I'm very, very happy for you. I'm loving this comment from Finn. Watching this while not watching the show has been shockingly entertaining. That's what we're here for, friend. So glad that the recap is working for you so you can follow along.
That's the best thing I've ever seen.
Right. I do want to take a moment and just Alexis, platform you for a minute because your notes for this episode were some of the best notes we've ever had in the show doc. We have emojis. We have capital letters. We have commentary on furniture. We have lots about Rob Lowe.
There was production value.
There was a lot you were giving.
I feel like that's pretty. They didn't feel extra special to me, but thanks.
I specifically want to call out a couple lines where I'm gonna do this every time there's a new bullet point. So you go, what the fuck is happening? Marissa said I was going to like this. Marissa, are you insane? Are you fucking insane? You said they wouldn't kill anyone. That meant anything. You told me that on air. Tell me this is a lie.
I know exactly what point in the episode that was.
I don't.
Okay,
I really
can I also want to address that Marissa's notes were the gasp I just gasped. Okay. There's 14 minutes left of the ep. Okay. Oh, thank God. And my notes for that point in the episode was just says bah because I was like, that was the fakest stab I've ever seen in my goddamn life. So I was laughing hysterically at that moment.
I was under control. Everything was fine.
Someday the four of us are going to be sat on multiple pieces of furniture in the floor and able to watch something in real time together. And it's going to be the greatest moment of my life to see how we actually react to the TV.
This is the thing, though. There is bad acting on this show, on Only Murders. There's just flat out bad acting. And then there's bad acting on purpose. And it's hard to determine when the bad acting is on purpose. Particularly, I think of, in this episode, Cara Delevingne's, I am outraged. Just dead-eyed. And like 5 minutes later, I was like, oh, thank God she did that on purpose. But
it's really a show that I think, and I mean this as a compliment to the show, it gets better the second time you watch it. Because when you're focused on unraveling what's happening and making your guesses, I feel like it takes away from being able to analyze some of those moments the way that you can when you already know how it's going to end. Like when I rewatched season 1, I was like, oh, I missed so many of these references and just like little like moments because I was so focused on the crime. Yep. So I'm the only one that didn't get anything right. That's fine. I think that in honor of me being wrong, let's talk about some of the things that we have on this board that we are sad or relieved that they are incorrect. So let's go over here and just recap some of the people that we have accused that we probably owe apologies to. First and foremost, Marissa. Really glad it wasn't you. You've cleared your name.
Thank
Round of
you.
applause for Marissa not being the murderer this season, but we'll see if you run in the next year.
Alexis had some disturbing notes about my similarities to Poppy, so I'm not really feeling very safe right now.
Apparently, I don't remember what I wrote. Now I will have to find that. Continue.
You were
There
like,
was also-
Poppy's like cadence sounds like Marissa.
Oh, it does. Yeah, it does. Sorry, that is true.
Also, speaking of Poppy, I made a note when I was watching the opening that I was like, oh, I like this hair. And then I saw Marissa's note about this will can go to hair, and then I corrected my notes to say I like her hairstyle. I was not approving of the wig. I was like, the style of that fits.
Yes. It was a flattering face shape for her.
I do want to add that I just finished watching last week's episode, The All Did Without Me, like before this show started. And last week, Marissa, I do want to give you the floor once again, because you were accused of being anti-science and a murderer. So would you like to state once and for all? Just to clear your public air here. Here, hold on. Let me give you the floor.
Hello. I would just like to state that I, Missa Bobissa, am pro-science, anti-murder.
And I'm running for Congress. And
this is how you can make a difference.
On behalf
for
of
by
Marissa Longo for her 2022 campaign, I have heard this.
Well, I'm so glad that we finally have a definitive statement on air. That makes me feel much better. Going back to the board, I am relieved that Timothée Chalamet was not involved in this. I do think he's done some slaying around the city with the girlies of NYU, but that's another murder to discuss another time off air or in the Patreon someday. You can read the show. You can read the run of show, Alexis, and see what I'm referring to. I made a joke.
I don't think the notes that you made are going to
and
make
was
any sense to
confused.
Alexis. You have to know like so much deep lore to get there.
I decided I would wait until after the show when I could ask somebody that I thought may understand it.
Listen, there's some lore around Timothée Chalamet's time at NYU and like the slaying that went on in the dormitories. So we'll leave it at that. He's not the murderer in this building, that's for sure. Other people on the board that I want to apologize to include the wacky inflatable man. Never truly safe on this show, but safe from this one for sure. Who else on here do we want to come back to? Sly, do you have any commentary around Clint Barton? I know, Marissa, you raised it, but as our platform,
we're not
Hawkeye
forgiving
Stan.
him, or we're
No.
not apologizing to him. He can keep the allegation. Really, what's one more murder charge to him?
I mean, I think the evidence stacked up still could very much apply to him.
So let's just go ahead and talk about the end of this episode and what's been set up for season 3, which we've already said a little bit, where Paul Rudd is now officially joined the cast for season 3, and the end of the season finale has him on stage. Clint Barton, Invisible Arrow.
Oh, are we getting a what if murder mystery again?
Again. What if season 2 will have Easter eggs for Only Murder season 3? You heard it here first. You heard it here
I
first.
also feel like Clint has a certain history of deciding he is a father to women with parental issues that have dark hair. And so I am not removing him from somehow also being involved with Poppy.
Thank you.
Wow.
Oh, I thought you were gonna
Thank
say
you.
he's the husband from the wedding that Lucy
I thought you were gonna say he's Nina Lynn's baby daddy. I was certain that's where you were going with that.
No. He's just an additional character that also fits in this universe.
Right.
makes
I thought
sense.
we knew the baby daddy. I thought the baby daddy was
I
Walmart
agree.
Felder.
Theory.
Yeah.
That's just
Okay.
maybe that's a twist of season 3. Same as they bring back the not the real father plot for another
so
go.
Paul Rudd is the baby daddy?
Well,
No, Clint
I thought
Barton.
you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say that Clint Barton was baby daddy to Nina Lim, and that we were going to. I don't know. We have to. Okay, I'm just gonna park this here.
I stand by Clint Barton potentially being the stepdad to Lucy.
Oh, no,
we
that
haven't
works
seen
for
him
me
yet.
too.
I
Yeah,
think
that
that
works
could
too,
be a
yeah.
possibility.
Yeah,
A multiversal
listen.
Clint Barton for sure.
Absolutely. We need to keep tabs on where Jeremy Renner is filming when they are doing season 3 and see if we can put the puzzle pieces together. I think we're really onto something here, friends.
That's a lot of paying attention to Jeremy Renner. So I'm going to need somebody else to take that on. I'm gonna need to
Alexis is gonna bow out of that.
to delegate. I'm going to delegate that to somebody else.
We can take shifts. Take shifts. I'll do
Okay.
a few days. We'll rotate it to Marissa. It'll be great. Oh, that's so funny. Sly, you wanted to clear the air around the chicken man.
I wouldn't say that my assertion that the chicken man being part of the murder was incorrect. I stand by that. I think you could still connect the dots where the chicken mascot man was also a part of this murder. Maybe they're a triad. Who knows?
And if you're on Twitter and you follow all of us, you will know that half of this show is I gotta stop. This is a whole 10 minutes before we started the show for you all. Us talking about a Twitter thread that happened this week. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go on producer Liz with 2 Z's or Missa Bobissa. You can go on any of our Twitter accounts. I think we're all in that thread by the end of the night. Sylvan was there for a little bit. I think it was a lot. Yeah, that completely derailed me.
That's a really interesting way to say that you were being a misogynist and passive aggressive about my marriage. But I guess that's a good summary of the event.
Call me out on air. Call me out on air. Listen. I have notes of apology coming to after party show SHO on Instagram at 10:05 Eastern time. Be there. That's all I'll say on that front. I will not apologize to Alexis' face. I'll only apologize to the general public. Moving on. Oh my God, this show is savage. I'm obsessed. Let's talk about some of the themes of this episode, some of the major moments. Let's work through this. We saw the killer party, in which it was a very funny joke about, is it a killer party? Is it a party for announcing the killer? A lot of different, things went on in this. And we had a lot of wonderful moments take place, including the live stream, which was called out earlier. We love a live. Welcome to the live family. Only Murders in the building. So happy to have you as part of the community. We saw Alice come back, which we also applauded earlier. So I called that. Alice kind of had a nice little wrap to the season. And then we had this slow-mo gimmick that happened. And I want to toss it to Marissa first. So you had some commentary about this in your notes, I think. What did you think about this? Do you want to describe it for everyone and then kind of give your reaction to it?
Okay. According to Poppy, one of the ways to get Cinda Canning uncomfortable is slow motion. And so Charles and Oliver decided that they would just pretend to be in slow motion while they interrogated her. Because, before they accused Poppy, they also accused Cinda Canning, and then they also accused Alice, and then it was, it was a whole convoluted reveal. And I think it was probably the most intimidating moment of the show ever. It was so uncomfortable, but also peak unhinged Only Murders. I was like, this is the show I came to watch. That's my commentary.
I feel like season finales written around physical comedy are like a brilliant twist on comedy for the show. It's not really a physical show. Like we had a lot of like the what do you call it? Like the back of the building, like what's it called? What am I trying to say?
Yeah.
Not the alleys of the building, but like the hidden tunnels and
the
passageways. The secret tunnels in the building. And that kind of had some physical elements to it, but it's a lot of sitting around and talking. Or like even like having a boom mic, like Alexis likes to say, would have like a nice physical comedy element to it that we don't really get. So it's so jarring to go from that to like Oliver and Charles doing like insane slow-mo like faces.
The elevator from last season.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I also feel like this show finally got to a moment where the ensemble came together and made sense in a way that I was really surprised by in this killer party, and particularly in the slow-mo scene. I was like, oh man, I want so much more ensemble from this show. If this is how funny they can all be in one room, like, lean in.
But where was Amy Schumer?
But where was Amy Schumer?
You know what? I really commend them for saying, no, we will not have Amy Schumer return.
It's curious, isn't it?
That's a take.
I think it's bad and annoying that it's just an open end, but I also think that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like the concept of celebrity guest star introduced and then never wrapped up is funny as a concept. As a viewer of a television program, it's a little annoying, but it's a funny concept. If I say it's a funny concept one more time, will anyone believe me?
No. We're going to come back to the loose ends of season 2 a little bit later. But Alexis, I'm wondering what you thought of this killer reveal from the angle of someone that really enjoys a true crime reveal. How did you feel mapping through those moments?
The reveal that it was Poppy? One of my only real issue is that I either want to have all the clues so that I'm able to solve it on my own, or none of the clues so that I was never able to solve it on my own. Mm-hmm. It's a little, it feels a little disingenuous to be given most of the clues, but like not all of them, right? Like I feel like the way that they revealed this, there were aspects that I wouldn't have been able to solve. Maybe I'll feel differently if I watch it a second time, but I felt like there was some information that was intentionally kept from the audience. And that wasn't my favorite thing. But you know, I didn't feel like Poppy's story was as compelling as maybe, it wasn't as compelling as I expected it to be. I don't know if that was an intention of the show, like if they just wanted it to be like an average everyday story, if it was meant to not be particularly compelling. But you know, it is a little unhinged, so I would have maybe liked to just spend a little more time on that if it was going to be Poppy, but I don't know if that actually answers your question or not.
No, it absolutely does. And it made me, I'm going to say something very bold. Are y'all ready? This is coming out of left field. It really did make me think of one thing that the Russo brothers do quite well. Say it. When they directed Community, they were so good at doing Easter eggs and wrapping subplots and giving you a true second, third watch experience. And when I finished the finale of this episode, I was having a similar conversation with my partner and thinking like, I feel like it all makes sense, but like, I also feel like I'm not having a moment of like, oh, I really want to go back and watch and see what I missed. Cause I feel like I know exactly what we got from Poppy this season. Like there wasn't a lot of like if it had been Alice, I would have been like, oh, I probably missed mannerisms or things. Like I want to go
Yeah.
back and rewatch, and I don't really get that from Poppy. Versus in Community, the Russos always have like threads through those episodes of like, if this is happening at the end, you're gonna get 5 to 6 points throughout the episode that like you can go back and pick out later. And I was like, I kind of wish we had a little bit more of that style.
There
Yeah.
were 2 little baby twists that I did like. I did think the play on the assumption that he was sleeping with Cinda was very well done. Like I thought that worked. And I did think that they operated under the assumption that we assumed that Cinda knew that Poppy
Yes.
was the girl. That was
Yes.
my assumption going in. So I felt like that was incredibly well done. Like I didn't get that until Cinda said, like, revealed that. So I felt like those were both well done, but I don't feel like the rest of the mystery was consistent with the way that those 2 were handled. And I would have liked it to be.
Yeah. It felt sort of spoon-feedy. It was like, and here's a clue, and here's a clue, and here's a clue, and here's the answer. Not like, here's a clue, and maybe it leads here, maybe it doesn't mean anything. It was very much like, we gave you a bunch of information, and now we're going to put the math problem together. Not
And also, all the clues, it felt very telly-y. Like, we got the clue, and then we didn't see anything about it until they were telling us the answer. There was no, like, mystery surrounding the clues. Either we had the answer or we didn't.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
So speaking and I have no good transition here because my brain's trying to think of something else, but what I want to talk about next, just to like completely hard transition us, is we got a lot of iconic lines this episode. Like I feel like the writing of this episode was done with particular care. And there were some really funny moments that I think like of the 6 notes I had, they were about lines that kind of like made me jump out of my seat when I heard them. So I thought we could go around and share like some of the moments that we really loved hearing this episode. One for me was when they said, like when she was Googling how to disappear so no one in your life could ever find you. I was like melodramatic Queen Poppy, like felt. And she like backspaces and it's just how to disappear. I was like, oh my God.
And my immediate note was, they can see your search history very easily. Like if you're going to plan a murder, you don't Google how to murder someone. Like, if you're trying to disappear, why would you Google how to disappear? Like, maybe invest in incognito mode at least.
Maybe Wayzota just doesn't save any of your search history. This
Maybe.
ridiculous made-up search engine that they used for the show.
Hey, maybe.
We don't know what's happening in this parallel universe and Clint Barton's parallel universe, what search engine they prefer. There was also the line, this is a family murder podcast, which had big Harry Styles energy to me because on stage he's always like, this is a family show. Or is it? And I was like, wow, that's like a direct line to Harry Styles for me, which is a 10 out of 10 reference. There was another line, how is Middle America going to get it? And I forget who had it in their notes, but I think it was Alexis.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to speak to that one as someone? I think are you from Middle America? No, I have no idea. What is Middle America referencing?
I don't consider myself Middle America, but I guess I am.
Tennessee counts.
Tennessee counts as Middle America.
Yeah.
I giggled more because I do think that is a metric that is thrown around quite a bit, especially with political campaigns or with messaging, right? You hear that a lot. And it's kind of the sign to like dumb down your message so that normal average people will get it. There's actually this psychological study that's related to it that looked at the trend of higher education being related to more diversified political ideas, so that there was a correlation between the more education one had, like master's to PhDs, graduate education, all that, the more likely they were to look at political problems by policy rather than to align themselves with either the left or the right. And middle America education demographic is a little lower, and is also, for a lot of reasons, including the Bible Belt and lots of other stuff we don't need to get into, is a little more partisan. But it's also one of those expressions that's thrown around a lot that people don't really know what it means. It's just kind of like, this isn't quite working. How's middle America going to get it? And that's more of what I thought it was related to in the episode. I thought it was poking fun at that.
So question, does the fact that it was said by a bunch of New Yorkers make an impact on that statement? Or is that not relevant?
Well, I think that makes it funny, but I think that's usually who you hear it from too. Like, I don't think I don't know that you hear lots of other types of people. Like, when I think about it coming from Northerners.
Yeah. I think about it as used in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
From like a coastal elite perspective.
Yes.
Of like how are the simple-minded folk supposed to understand?
Yeah.
Get it? Because I heard that and immediately thought Bible Belt, but I couldn't get like that far of a connection. So thank you. As the Canadian who did not learn about U.S. states in school, if you've ever seen me try and name all the U.S. states on a blank map, you know it is quite the affair. We should make that Patreon content someday. Like, someone needs to make a note of that because it's hysterical, and I'm never gonna get it right. I am very glad you cleared that up for me because I found it funny, but with no context. Any other lines from this episode that we want to shout out before we move on? Sly, anything stand out to you?
It's not a line, but the facial reaction from Alice in the wide shot when they make the Australia comment was masterfully done. It was brilliant. Her reaction was like, it was so well timed. The facial expression was everything.
Yeah, loved it. And I felt like she probably drew on some personal experience for that. Like, she's called every accent under the sun. Marissa, anything stand out to you?
Well, I always love when they have little like self-referential throwaways about it being a show and like, you know, the second season, and this has to happen every 3 episodes or whatever. And this episode we got Oliver said at the beginning of the episode, this is really not feeling like a finale yet. And
to which I said, it really isn't, Oliver. It really isn't.
No.
The last line I want to call out, just strictly from a Canadian perspective, was hearing the reference of podcast Nickelback. Like, that was said, and I was like, signing in, checking in. Love a Canadian. There's been a couple Canadian references, which I think is really cute, considering the Canadians in the cast. Okay, I think we should like wrap up the loose ends ourselves that we did not get from this finale. So I want everyone in the comments and us we're going to go through a quick like rapid fire list of the subplots of the season, and on our infamous 1 to 5 whole Alpine scale, how satisfied are we? If you're like totally satisfied and happy, it's a 5 out of 5. If you're not, it's a 1 out of 5. How are we feeling about some of these subplots? We ready to play? Let's rapid fire this. Let's like run through it. School play.
4.
Alexis
Is probably a 1.
Well, it deserves more than a 1, but I was unhappy. So
I'm giving it a 1.
Sad Alpines.
That's the thing. If we would have gotten to see it, it would have been a 5 out of 5. I loved it. It was a great recurring bit. I was very sad we didn't actually get to see it. So it lost
I
an
will
Alpine
say-
for me.
Everyone was concerned about me in their notes
Yeah.
when it was realized that we weren't going to see it. I found that to be very heartwarming.
Alexis feeling seen and heard by the show doc.
They couldn't get the rights. Hulu couldn't get the rights.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you, Marissa.
Bucky
I
giving
don't
it
think
a
that's
2.
true, but
Oh.
It probably is true though. But I mean, try harder, Hulu. Next,
It's real to me.
it was real to me. Amy Schumer and Sting's apartment.
5 Alpines.
1.
It's so unhinged. I love it.
One of my favorite things about this whole Sting bit, though, was that his leaving was literally just us seeing that box that said Sting's rain sticks be pushed out of the building. And so now I'm like, what is Amy Schumer's box going to be? Like, are they going to move her out next season and it's going to be like Amy Schumer's whatever?
I love that. That is
Do we
so
think-
good.
Sorry, I just had a thought pop into my brain. We've established in this infamous show doc that this murder was not in the building, but it's also a year later. Do we think Paul Rudd was the new Amy Schumer?
Well,
If
he's
not
not
him-
Paul Rudd. He's a fictional character.
Oh, well,
But
whatever.
maybe
You know what
he
I mean.
maybe he does live in the building though, because
Yeah.
clearly a lot happened before we got to that moment. There was a lot of conflict.
Yep.
So I was so upset that the murder was not in the building. So I have to believe in my heart that he lives in the building. Or the murderer lives in the building. It's got to be one of the two. It's only murders in the building. You can't change the name of the show.
So I would like to call back something that was said last week by Alexis. If it's magical, does it need to be logical?
Yes.
I feel like
Yes.
I was nice last week, but yes, it does.
I assumed that maybe in Nina's like big expansion plot that somehow the building bought the theater, and so the theater can now technically be considered part of the Arconia entity.
Yeah, I did also
That's
have that
cool.
thought.
I had no thoughts. I was head empty in comparison to y'all.
I
love
was
that.
like, maybe this Broadway
Rude.
theater is the blimp on the top of the
Yeah.
Arconia.
The
That's
whole
cool.
episode gave me very Leverage vibes, and the Leverage Part 1 finale involves a building that the theater is like under. So to me, it made sense that it was all related.
Could you imagine complaining about how loud your upstairs neighbors are and it's literally a Broadway show? Like people are like,
Wow,
oh, like it
yeah.
sounds like my neighbors above me are tap dancing. Like they are. Like they actually are. Like
Where would you
For,
put
like-
the pit?
where'd you put the pin? In the penthouse?
That really devalues the Sting apartment penthouse.
Does it? I don't know if it does.
Maybe if you're like a Broadway composer, it does. I don't know. I would not want to live.
Maybe if
below
you're
a
Lin-Manuel
Broadway house.
Miranda and you took over Sting's apartment, which I have been
Oh,
pitching
yeah.
for at least a season of this show.
Yeah, on it, the lack of Lynn cameo in Only Murders is actually a little bit shocking to me.
Disconcerting.
There
Like,
were-
It's
the
the
man
lowest
was in-
hanging fruit.
there were not a lot of cameos
Mhm.
this season in general.
Yeah.
Like we got Shirley MacLaine, Andrew Martin, Amy Schumer, Paul Rudd.
I just keep having
much.
flashbacks to Lynn and Smash, and that makes me even more sad that it hasn't happened in Only
Mhm.
Murders.
Speaking of flashbacks. Oops.
Yeah, I
Wrong
just posted it in
one.
the chat. It was my nails on my desk. 1 year later, JB. Sorry, go ahead.
I was trying to transition and then Liz typed something in the chat and I lost it. Anyway. Speaking of flashbacks, 1 year later gave me the same betrayal I felt when Endgame pulled the 5 years later from back.
Yeah, it does like raise concern of like something. You got to cover what happened in that year. We can't just like pretend like a year happened and we are just moving on forever.
I really hope they're doing the season 1 thing where they opened on Bunny's murder. And
yeah,
then
you
they
open
went,
at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
don't
Yeah, I'm
acknowledge
certain
it
that's
at
what
all
it
for the
is.
rest of the show until the very end.
Yeah. I hope so. I think so, but
All right, let's keep moving through this list for the sake of time. Let's keep running through some of the more subplots that we saw throughout the season and in the finale. 14 Savage. Alexis, you actually had in your notes that you were really happy with this reveal. Is that what it was?
Well,
Am I
I was happy with the fake reveal, and then I was pissed the fuck off. So we're somewhere in the middle on that reveal. I was excited when I thought it was the painting because that's a thing that feasibly we should have put together. I was less happy when I was supposed to like Nancy Drew magnifying glass this menu to figure out what sandwich it was in this painfully stereotypical Slavic restaurant.
Yeah.
So we're like hitting a 3 on that.
Yeah.
It's a 2 for me.
2 for you. Yeah. Okay, what about the waiter and that big chunk of money? I wanted to know how he was spending it. I wanted him like rolling up with like a nice watch or like his DJ equipment.
It was a 5 out of 5 for me. I love Ivan. Good for him. He deserved it. I don't need to know what he's doing with it. It was just a fun little moment.
It's like a 0 or a 5. Like, I'm indifferent. So whatever side of the scale you want to be on, I don't really care.
Well, one topic that we were not indifferent about this season is Howard and the cat ownership and the relationship he's in. So, Alexis, how do you feel about the way that that plot ended?
Well, I'm still pissed about it.
Can I get a -5?
Yeah, I feel like it's a tortilla-less, warmerless, accessory-less Alpine with no tacos.
I'm obsessed. Okay. Marissa, the mural getting painted over. How does that sit for you?
It's like a 4.
Sly?
Yes, it needed to happen. It's character growth.
It broke my heart.
Art is impermanent.
Sly, where are you checking in on this?
I'm checking in on this as somebody who lost their entire art collection, and then proceeded to mostly replace it with all the same prints.
We're like hanging out down here. Yeah.
I'm a 4 for Mabel making the choice to move on. I am a 0, -2 for Alice being there while she does it. Get the fuck out of there, Alice.
Done.
2 thumbs down.
All right. And the last one we're going to do, Nina and the businessman boyfriend person and their whole thing about like the building. That was like very heavy in one episode.
1. There was
I'm really upset that they dropped that completely.
Yeah. There was like the one line where Lester was like, they're going to replace me. And Nina was like, well, maybe there are some things that shouldn't be changed, whatever, during the Blackout episode. And like, that's not a resolution. That's just a like coming to a realization. That was one of the things that I was really disappointed by not getting a conclusion to.
Yeah. Alexis, how do you feel about that one?
So this thing has been happening where we do these after parties and then Marissa says shit and then I realize I've completely misinterpreted like the entire last 6 months of my life. It's really cool. It's happened like the past 4 episodes that Marissa has been on. So my assumption was that this was a plot that was going to continue. Like I did not think that we had seen the end of this plot. I was expecting this plot to also pick up in season 3. So I was kind of neutral. If that is not occurring, then I am a sad Alpine.
That is exactly the track I was on, Alexis. I was like, oh, this is going to be the big conflict throughout season 3. So I'm neutral. I'm a 3 on it, yeah.
I don't think it was set up with high enough stakes for it to be the thing.
They didn't even invite Nina to the killer party, which I found very odd.
I assumed she was invited and couldn't come.
which is a perfect assumption to make. I just feel like
I mean,
have to
it
go
would
back
have
and
been funny with a baby just screaming through the entire
Yeah.
thing. Like, I'm now upset that we missed that opportunity. Like, the
Well-
killer is wah! Would have been hysterical.
Yeah.
That is funny.
or the baby getting passed around.
Yeah.
Like that could have been funny physical, like during the slow-mo or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Howard trying to sell the baby off so he could start a relationship that the baby wasn't involved in.
I love this comment. Alice being there for character growth is like an oxymoron. Yeah.
Yep.
T. With that, let's give a toast to another great season of one of our favorite shows. Great costumes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, plot progression, and a lot of fun after parties. Cheers.
That was a perfect toast.
Try my best. We will be back for season 3 recaps, but if you're planning on watching Only Murders in the Building, you can go back and rewatch all of our after parties and hear our thoughts on every episode. It's a fun little companion to watching the show. And we're always here in the comments, looking at the comments, so don't be afraid to come back and leave your comments as you're catching up. We love to hear what you're thinking as you go. Now, as I scroll through pages upon pages upon pages upon pages of our show doc to get to our next segment.
That's why there's a summary, so you can go to the segment.
I know, but I have to zoom it in because I have bad eyes and bad ears and bad everything, Sly. Sly is going to lead us through a fun group game that we invite all of you to come take part in. I have named this game without consulting anybody because it really is an ode to one of our favorite shows, the Radio 1 Screen Time podcast, where they do a segment called Movies That Made Me. Sly, you look... What?
That's not what it was an ode to, but sure.
No, but that's what made me think of one of my favorite segments that Allie Plum does.
It was an ode to the queer movie podcasts that do one-off episodes that are movies that made me queer that I was listening to an episode of when I came up with.
Okay, right on. It's an ode to
the
many
same
things.
energetically.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. So Sly, why don't you walk us through this game and what you have prepared for this evening?
All right. So this is the movies that made us MCU fans. So I asked all of my co-hosts for the first MCU movie they've ever seen. Some people did not follow that, but that's fine. And the MCU movie that made you invested, the one that like got its hooks into you and made you say like, I'm going to keep up with this, I'm gonna watch all the things, etc., etc. And so I put together a little graphic in the style of the like movie scratch off posters that we're gonna play around, and we all submitted these anonymously and independently, so there may or may not be a couple repeats, but let's get into it.
And while we're playing, guess along in the comments. Please, for the love of God, guess along in the comments as we go and tell us the movies that made you your first MCU movie and then the one that made you invested in the MCU. Sly, the floor is yours.
Okay, let's pull up the oops.
No, go ahead.
There we go. Okay. This is our movies that made us MCU fans. We're going to
I feel like we
pick
need a sound
square.
effect. I feel like we need Alexis.
No, because you told me, and I can't do it when you tell me because I giggle. You gotta let me do
fair.
it on my own.
Ooh,
I'm
there
gonna
are
go
already
my own way.
there are already guesses in the comments. Oh boy, I'm excited.
Okay, Sly, floor is yours.
All right, so we're gonna pick a square and we'll reveal the movie, and you have to guess who sent it and whether it was the first movie or the invested movie. Okay, so somebody pick a number 1 through 8.
Let's let the chat do it. Let's let the chat do
5.
it. Chat, let's let the chat do it. Let's let the people decide. You can pick 5 though, chat, if you want to pick 5. So let's let the chat decide. And I forget there's a delay. This is where we need like some
Right.
Just gonna riff. Okay, Bunky says 7. We're gonna start it off with 7. All right, let's get in here. I think this is the square. There we go. We got Captain Marvel.
Ooh. I feel like we've talked a lot about our experiences with Captain Marvel on this show, so I have a pretty good guess on. And I don't have a guess. I have a certain knowledge of who watched Captain Marvel as their first MCU.
Right.
Marissa, what do you think?
Well, do you want my answers?
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I feel like I know for a fact that it's the first MCU movie Sly saw. I don't know that it's
That
the
is
movie that made
Actually
them invested.
incorrect.
Oh,
Alexis clearly knew that. Alexis is giving us a look like, I know my husband better than y'all. So, Alexis, where did your head go about this?
well,
Since
then it's the
Marissa and
movie
I
that
were
made them
wrong.
invested.
Yes, I'm with you on that. Alexis?
I assumed it was the movie that made them invested. Yes.
It was this edition of Captain Marvel was the first movie that made me invested. So I watched mostly in timeline order, kind of. But there were a couple movies I had seen prior to watching, and a couple other projects I had seen prior to like committing to watch. So I watched Captain America: The First Avenger and like really enjoyed it. It's like so many things I love there, right? And then I watched Captain Marvel and I went, "Oh, okay. I see why this is multi-billion-dollar gigantic franchise. I'm in it. It's so brilliantly structured, and the idea of somebody who's like brainwashed into having no emotions and how they present themselves and how they go about learning to, you know, use their emotions for as a positive and using that to make them stronger is just really cool. And so yeah, this
Every
is
time
like
Sly
the first
talks about
one that got my
Captain
heart.
Marvel, I get so emotional. Like, yeah, bestie. Okay, the next number that was thrown up is JJ said number 3. So let's go. Let's go to number 3.
You know what number 3 is? Captain Marvel.
Okay. Sly, how about you start this one? Where do you think Captain Marvel's coming in next?
Here's the thing. So I had all of you submit these anonymously, but the way in which you submitted them kind of showed who was who. So I have an inkling that this was somebody's first movie.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Alexis?
I have no ideas on this one.
I think this was Marissa's movie that made... No, that can't be right. But I don't think this is on Alexis's list. No, this is definitely not from Alexis. So it has to be Marissa. But I don't think this was the first one you watched. And it's definitely not Winter Soldier. So... I don't know what to say. Bunky's saying, I want to say it was Liz's first. Okay. Shall we reveal?
Yeah. Who was it?
So this was the movie that made me invested in the MCU because I remember so vividly the premiere. And this photo was my lock screen for, I think, like 2 years on my iPhone, like 5 or whatever it was. Like, this photo changed my life and was such, like, a reminder of, like, how capable we are of doing more and how long it taken to get to that moment. And, like, it's just, oh, God, like, it's just incredible. Oh, this photo just makes me, like, want to cry all the time. So So yeah, this is the movie that made me be like, yeah, like let's do this and let's make this better and like let's see what this is all about. This was like the moment that I was all in. I love Brie Larson. I love Brie Larson. Oh, I love Brie Larson.
And that imagery is just so stunning. The composition, the power, just everything about that is just gosh.
You know what's incredible? This was tweeted from like the Marvel Studios account. So this was whoever was running the Twitter that night.
Yeah.
We love a social media intern of the week. Yes. Thank you, JJ. Liz giving an Oscar-worthy performance. Me and Timothée Chalamet as the most youngest people to ever get nominated for an Academy Award. I'll take it. Let's go to number 8 next. I don't care about what y'all said. I'm picking the next one.
Well, Bunky said it next.
So did Bunky.
Oh.
Okay. Number 8. I wonder what this could be. I promise this is not just 8 pictures.
It's all Captain Marvel. Jeez. It has to be Marissa. 'Cause I don't believe this is on Alexis's list. And I'm going to be shocked if it is. I know one that's Alexis's for sure, and it's not Captain Marvel, and I don't believe that your other choice would have been Captain Marvel. So I'm going to be very surprised if it is.
Correct. It's 7 Captain Marvels and 1 Captain America the Winter Soldier.
It has to be. If it's Alexis, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself. Not in Alexis. It's a great choice in me.
Marissa?
It's the movie that made me invested in the MCU.
Love that for us.
Yeah.
I'm also like, whoa, man, I think I would have been in hot water if it had been Alexis and I would have gotten to talking to.
No, yeah. Literally all of the same reasons as Liz and Slay.
So can we bring the photo
Love
back
this
up?
movie.
Is this an excuse for us to look at this again?
I love
It's
Wonder
so
Woman.
good. Yeah.
Love Wonder Woman. Yeah.
All
right,
right.
it
Let's get another number in here.
Okay.
What's the chat saying?
We got a 1. Did we do 1 yet?
Oops, sorry, we both
Not
clicked on that.
done
Go
one.
ahead.
Let's get 1. What's number 1?
That Finn says 1.
Andrew Garfield made the board.
Wow, I didn't realize that was an MCU film.
Depending
Depending on who you ask, you could make an argument at this point.
That's the only reason I didn't call you out on submitting this is I was like, I guess at this point you can technically call this an MCU movie.
That's
But,
the first movie Liz watched.
Mm-hmm.
We all
Yeah.
know this, right?
And I'm going on MC University tomorrow to talk all about it.
That's wrong.
No, I know.
That's
I'm doing
factually
number 2.
I'm
number 2.
going on
I know,
MC
you're doing
University
number
to talk all about it.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
I will say, and maybe I'll tell this story on the podcast tomorrow, but I have to think about if I really want to tell this story. I wouldn't say I had a great experience watching the movie, but it was.
I can
The
also
first
tell the
movie.
story of how I watched it.
Yeah, let's team up on
Save
that.
it
and,
for
like,
the
compare
show.
notes. Yeah. But what I will say, and I've said this before, like this came out when I was in high school in like the Tumblr era, and like this was huge on Tumblr. So like we cannot like the way the internet's talking about Eddie Munson, like this was our Eddie Munson of the
He got
2010s.
full Edward Cullen treatment.
Absolutely.
Undeniably.
And to see his love interest be a blonde, preppy type A debate team captain, which was my exact like portfolio of my high school years. There was a lot of self-projection that was like very easy to do, like extremely easy to do. Like, not even projection. It was just a story about me. So that's all I'll say.
I love Bunky's
Screaming
comment.
because I saw Amazing Spider-Man when I was in elementary school, and Liz just said she was in high school. How
We had
old
just
are
started
you?
high school.
My high school also starts in the 9th grade. Does that make a difference?
No,
No.
Because
that's when
some
we start
schools
high school.
Okay,
Well-
some schools start in grade.
Actually,
Well,
I don't think that's when Bunky starts high school. I think
some-
Bunky's high school went through 9, or middle school went through 9.
Some schools
Somebody
will
told me their
do,
middle school went through 9.
it'll either be like 7, 8, 9 is middle, or some schools do 9, 10, and then 11, 12 are separate schools. But that's pretty rare.
We did K5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 through 12.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh my god! What do you call that? Like middle school 1 and middle school 2? Like
We did middle school and junior high school academy,
Yeah,
and then
dude.
high school.
It's like 8, 9 or 9, 10 is junior high.
That's interesting.
Fun time.
I can get behind that.
Now
Me
it's
like approving the Tennessee school system. I'm like,
Now
yeah,
it's
I can approve that.
K6, 7, 8, and then 9, 12. But that's not how it was when I went.
Okay, Bunky says 3 next. Y'all keep calling out the numbers you want to go with next. Let's move to number
I'm
3.
like
It's not an
stressed
option.
now.
I'm sorry. Why did I say 3? 2, 4, 5, or 6.
Well, I think
Or
the second
here.
one is where we should go next.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
let's do number
4,
2.
2.
Yeah, I was like going like 1, 2, 3.
She wants the middle. Oh, yeah.
I think this is Alexis. I think this is the one that made you invested. I'm feeling pretty confident about that.
Mm.
I will say, one person may have submitted this, and also may have submitted this with giving me 2 options, and I picked the other for them because this was already on the board.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I think Alexis. Or it could be a fake out and Sly watched it years ago, but like never thought about it again.
I'm certain Sly's is Guardians of the Galaxy. I think.
Oh.
I think that was Sly's
love
first
that.
Marvel movie.
I'm certain. I think.
Wait,
I think.
Liz,
That's peak Alexis energy.
Liz, we saw the full board. I don't think Guardians is on this board.
I don't remember. I have no short-term memory. We have to remember this. I'm not going to remember what I saw on the board an hour ago until tomorrow afternoon. I am a goldfish. I have no idea what's on this thing. The only
Alexis,
things I
final
knew for
answer.
certain coming into the show, having forgotten everything that was on this, was that Captain Marvel would be with Sly, and that I think I know the movie that Alexis watched first. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't think we've gotten there yet, and I don't want to spoil it. Those are the only 2 I was certain of.
Wait,
Fair enough.
no, we've had both of Liz's answers. I think Sly. It's the first MCU movie Sly saw.
Hmm.
All right, who wants to own this one?
This is stressful. I'm not good at having a poker face.
The Avengers is the movie that made me invested.
Oh,
Thank you.
But it is a movie I do not care for now. And it made me invested because I'm older than Sin, and I watched all of these films before you all got invested in the MCU. So
okay.
No, that's
well,
valid. You were watching
let's,
them like as they came out.
yes,
let's
we're all
not
new
be
fans.
judgy.
I'm not being judgy. I'm just like I would have loved Captain Marvel to make be the movie that made me invested, but I was watching them
Yeah.
before I had to be invested.
Yeah,
before-
yeah.
because of
Well,
that.
that's why it feels too late for you. Like, I feel like you were like an Iron Man.
I struggled through a bunch before
Okay.
I was like, we are down the rabbit hole, and it was whatever line it was about Budapest. I was
Oh.
like, okay.
I was about to say that. I know that's exactly why it was this.
I
movie
can
for
write
you.
and read
I will
900 fics
say-
based on a single line.
I watched the first Avengers. That was the last of the Avengers movies I watched, and it's a great movie.
It's a
not
good
expecting
movie.
it to be that good. I had a blast with Avengers 1.
It's not the best, but it's a good one.
Okay, let's rapid fire through these last 3 so we can get talking about She-Hulk. Let's
4,
go
5, or 6.
5.
5. Okay, I think that's this one. Yeah.
Alexis.
This was Alexis' first movie. This is the one I was sure about.
This is what I was sure
100%.
about.
Yeah, it was my first film. Yeah.
Which I think is like very cool because I think that there's not a ton of franchises happening right now that all of us can say we were there for the beginning of. You know what I mean? Like,
I put my feet down about watching this movie for a while. Like I was like, I don't want to watch it. I'm not going to like it. I was a big, like Batman fan, had been since I was a kid. And I was just not interested in pursuing other superheroes. And I think we were on family vacation and it was like the only option. And so I watched it and I was like, okay, no, like I can watch more of this. So
thank God for family vacation.
yeah, I liked at the time I liked the military angle was really like that was neat to me. I hadn't seen that in a lot of other properties at the time that one came out. Now I'm kind of over it. But
I think we forget, like, and by we I mean like new Marvel fans forget just how stunning Iron Man was when it came out. Like I can remember the reception of Iron Man and like how people were like it was like a new frontier of like storytelling.
Yeah.
And now we're like, we have so much to compare it to that it like stands differently. And we have different standards for how we treat women, but that's like a whole other conversation.
We have different standards for a whole lot in that movie.
A whole lot of things that happen in that movie. Okay. Who wants to pick next?
What are our
I'm
choices?
going with this one.
Okay.
Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh, okay.
So we're down to the first movie that Sly watched, right? We don't have that. And Marissa's movie that made Marissa invested?
no, Marissa's first.
No, first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marissa's first.
I don't think this is the first one Sly watched. So it has to be Marissa. I'm standing by that. I'm not confident, but I'm going to stand by it.
I do love this movie. It was up there for getting me hooked, but it was not my first.
Men in War.
Men in War. Fuck.
All right. Who wants to own this one?
Yeah, but technically, yes, it's me. It's the first MCU movie I saw. The Avengers is the first MCU movie I saw in theaters, which is why I gave a double answer. I was the person that gave 2 answers.
Right on.
Yep.
Yeah, I reworded my message like 52 times so that it would not be obvious that it was me. And then I was like, no, shit, it's still obvious that they're from me.
I just sent in the titles of the movie.
Alexis is the only one who sent in both in one message.
In one message, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Sorry,
All
I
right.
didn't get the memo on that one.
No, Bunky's
And
totally right. I have absolutely no poker face. I'm terrible.
So funny. So,
With
okay,
that-
I think I know what this movie is, the one that we're missing.
Okay.
I'm saying this, and I swear to God, I have no memory of the visual I saw earlier tonight. Like, none. Based on the stories I think you've told, I think you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy in theaters, like, well before you decided to become a fan. So I think that's the last movie on the board.
I saw Guardians 2 in theaters.
Damn it.
It's Age of Ultron.
first one
Yeah.
I
See,
saw
I
was
thought Age
Age
of
of
Ultron
Ultron.
was going to be the movie that made Alexis invested.
Why on God's green earth
I don't
would
know
Age
because
of Ultron be the movie that
2010
made me invested?
Because 2015 was a different time, Alexis.
Hold on, just
I-
hold that.
Why was
Be
why
really clear.
why was The Avengers the movie that made you invested, if not Age of Ultron? I don't just feel like I don't know.
I'm sorry, what?
It in my head it made sense.
Okay, sure.
I saw Age of Ultron in theaters with zero context.
Whoa.
That's brave.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
That was my first exposure to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a property. I did also I watched Guardians 1 and then Guardians 2 in theaters. Same group of friends. Same lack of context.
At the time Age of Ultron came out, there were only two things that I liked about it. One was that we got the Natasha dream sequence. And two was that there was a ridiculously long fanfic that came out that used it as a starting point for Clint and Laura's divorce. And it was beautifully written. And I decided it was canon. Those were the two things I liked about that film.
Can we find that fic?
Oh, yeah, bestie. I got you.
I would very much like to enjoy that. Sly, a round of tacos in the chat for Sly for this incredible
Yes.
game. The scratching
This
was
was
very. I
stressful.
really enjoyed it. Marissa's stressed. I had a grand time. I
Beautifully
love being
done. You're
stressed.
so smart and talented. We're all
Yes.
really proud of you.
I'm so happy I tricked everyone into thinking that
I could
Winter
definitely
Soldier was
take
going to be on the board.
You really did pull that off. Your
I
brand is
I didn't become a Winter Soldier ride or die until after Endgame.
Team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of why on God's green earth, we're going to transition to She-Hulk, episode 2. Yay!
Hey!
We've been waiting all episode to transition my lighting, and we've finally done it. If you have not watched She-Hulk episode 2, this is your spoiler warning. Get out of here. Or you can stay if you don't care about being spoiled, and we're going to break down everything that happened in this episode. Thank you. I love a compliment about the transitions on this show. We plan them out all of 30 seconds before we hit go live. It's really great. Let's start with a toast. Shall we?
I did a thing. Okay.
Thank you. Technically, it's episode 2, but it's all good. So
I just changed it. What the
oh,
heck?
did you? Oh, sorry. Sometimes they don't load properly. All right.
Save. I clicked out of it instead of hitting save. I see what
I
I
am
did.
still
There we
drinking
go.
iced coffee, which means I can read fanfic until 5 a.m. for the second night in a row. Love that for me. Marissa, what are you cheersing?
My
is it
coffee has gone cold, and it's just water at this point.
Alexis, what do you got?
I don't want to admit to what I have.
You don't have to. Keep it ambiguous. Ambiguous Starbucks
It's a
cup.
mystery beverage.
It's a mystery.
Cheers in the corner, besties. Where? Yeah, slide. There it is. Here, I'll pass my water
have,
over to Marissa,
like-
and then Marissa can take it. Like Alexis really loves when we do a transition like that.
Mhm.
There you go to take it. Boom, there it
Maybe
is.
2 sips left here.
Oh, we gotta make it stretch for these 4 toasts that we have. I'm gonna toast to Titania's marketing sequence that happened this week. They had the She-Hulk posters up, and then they got her to go in costume and like spray paint and put posters up, and they made a TikTok about it. But the better part was, and I still don't know if this is planned or if this was really like just a random bypasser. They had someone across the street filming it, and they got it on TikTok well before the Marvel account did, and that was even more fun to see from like a fan perspective. So whether that was planned or not, shout out to fun marketing from Marvel. I think that they can have so much fun, and they don't always choose to, so it was really cool to see. Marissa, I'm really excited for your point. What are you toasting to?
I'm toasting to knowing where the best poop bathrooms are. Listen, I'm an IBS girly, and I have a lot of respect for a bathroom, and I have a lot of respect for a man who is going to tell you where the best bathroom is. That is the welcome to the office I want.
Ally. Yeah.
Talk
Ally.
Valentina.
Talk Valentina. Ally. Cheers. Sly.
Okay. I have to preface this with a little bit of context. I watched this episode first thing when I woke up, and I was drinking my coffee during it, which means I was uncaffeinated. And my notes were so chaotic that I could barely follow them. And the only thing that like stood out as being like a toast-worthy a moment for me was the fava beans and Chianti joke. That was hilarious. I love a good wine joke.
Yep. I think that that's valid. Alexis?
I am toasting to the paralegal wearing all the pearls. And the thing is, I had a conversation with somebody, it may have been you, Liz, earlier about pearls' status, like whether pearls were in or out. And I was like, well, pearls are always in the South. And then I started wearing them to grad school, and no one knew what they were. It was like this new grand adventure. Like the only woman that recognized was like, I like your pearls, was the sorority girl in that sorority woman. Right?
Wow.
Like everybody's like, what are these? Where do you get them? And I've been making a list of like the 10 things I get at every estate sale, and pearls are on that list. Like anywhere I go that has pearls, I get them because you never know like what length or how many or like what color you're going to need. So the fact that somebody is trying to bring them back,
absolutely,
incredibly happy.
Yes,
absolutely. I love pearls. I think you should wear pearls to the show sometime if you feel like donning them.
Totally do that.
Love.
Didn't you wear pearls for the funeral?
I bet.
I may have. That seems like a very on-brand thing for me to do.
I think you did. I think you really did. Good call, Sly. Sly with that husband, like, knowledge.
That's spousal knowledge right there.
Spousal knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Hulk out moment of the week. And I need to give a round of tacos to y'all for coming up with that segment theme. I think, Sly, did you name the segment?
Yes. Thank you very much.
I saw this in the show doc for this week, and I had missed it. Love a little branded moment. So Sly, because you came up with the name, why don't you start us off with your Hulk out moment of the week?
Oh my god. Jen's phone wallpaper. Like, why was that the choice? Why was that the like angle of the picture? It was so ambiguous. Like, you had to really think. Like, it wasn't something you could look at and go, oh, I understand what you had to think about it. So it was just such a weird choice for that to be the wallpaper, right? And especially when the next thing we see is Nikki's wallpaper, which is like a generic like dog cutout on like a purpley background, which I was like, okay, yeah, I see it. That makes sense. I get that. But like, why was this Jen's phone background?
Have you never had a celebrity that you're obsessed with and you need a grainy photo as your phone background?
But why was it so grainy and so poorly framed? It could have been
because they don't have pictures of Chris Evans's ass. They had to take a screen grab of it. Obviously. I thought it was hilarious. I was so upset that it was your Hulk out moment of the week.
I think someone's here to compete with like best butt on screen of the week.
Is that a sassy or a Tommy?
That's a sassy.
Hello, sassy.
Hello, sassy.
You can't identify Alexis's cats by their tail?
I knew that was coming.
No, I can. I just the coloring of the
Marissa.
Sly and I once had a date night where my cat just tried to eat the iPad the entire time.
Is that what's been happening behind the scenes of your shoot this week? The cat eating the iPad? Is that what's happening?
No, that was a while ago.
Oh, that was a while ago?
Yeah.
Missed it. Marissa, stop digging a hole. What was your Hulk up moment of the week?
Melanie, I don't know who this woman is. I don't know how she's related to Jen, but you keep your hands off of her hair. We're going to get your hair looking more like She-Hulk. I don't think so. That woman is embracing her curls as she should. And frankly, we should be getting She-Hulk's hair more like Jen's. I don't think so, Melanie. No, thank you.
Yep. Yep.
Co-signed.
Alexis, you don't have a Hulk up moment of the week on the show doc. Do you have one?
Yeah, sure. I just found it and now I don't remember what it was. So
Take a few minutes. Mine is when they talked about there was this line like, I'm gonna have to go buy a whole new wardrobe for this job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was gonna say Bruce, but now Bruce is in like fucking space, so that's fine. Like,
We don't
someone
want
needs
Bruce.
to make like a scientific material that can expand and contract with her. Like, I feel like it's misogynistic to be like, oh, she gets to go on a shopping spree. New wardrobe. Like, no, like,
Isn't that spandex?
Well, yes, but I just mean like everyone gets cool like fits in the MCU, and like there's all the stuff about like we talked with Miss Marvel like about like coming into the suit and like your superhero suit. So I just, when they said I'm gonna have to go buy a whole new wardrobe, I was like, I would so much rather it not be the take. I want the take to be, I need to go put my brains like to work and come up with like a scientific solution for the problem like every other goddamn superhero. Not I get to go shopping. Like I did not like that. That really rubbed me the wrong way. No.
I think the scientific solution would be that her boss doesn't require her to have a conditional appearance for her job.
Yeah. Fully with you. Yeah. I don't want like the typical mall shopping spree montage to ever happen in this season. And I was like, oh God, like I don't care. I want her to have like cool superhero clothes. Like, let's just not even go down that route of women love shopping. I'm done with it.
While we're here though, I want to ask you, Liz, a question. And all of you, the people here who understand clothing, because I did have a note here. Can someone explain clothing to me? Because those don't look like they should fit both forms. The clothes she was wearing to the jail. Why did that
had
look?
that thought.
Yeah.
And
those did not look like the same clothes.
I could be wrong about this because again, like the ear situation and like feeling like I missed context on episodes this week. But I felt like in episode 1 of She-Hulk, she made a comment about like, oh, I really liked this outfit in the courtroom. And then in this episode, her clothes were fine and they weren't like ripping when she was evolving and stuff. So I was confused about that. And I was like, does she now have some clothes that fit her in most days? But then wouldn't they be super oversized and ill-fitting when she's Jen and then fit her to size when she's She-Hulk? Like, there's a lot of stuff about clothing in this episode that I was a little bit like confused about, or like didn't
also
like.
Bizarre to me, and it may be a misogyny issue, but it's bizarre to me that with Tony Stark's bromance with Bruce Banner, like Stark Industries never created like expandable clothing options.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they did and they were just for men and that's what the issue is.
I mean, where's the technology with Peter's suit where it grows and shrinks
nanotech.
Or like doesn't the Ant-Man suit
Yep.
big and small? Big and
Yep.
small? Yeah.
Sure does. It sure does. She just needs some of that. I don't know if that answers your question.
There's so many solutions.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many solutions. I also really wanted her office. Like, she got like the beautiful corner office, right? Which is like a great trope for like corporate life. But I really wanted it to have some element of like Hulk-sized closet to it. Like, a lot of people that have beautiful offices like that will keep like a blazer or like a couple pairs of shoes or something in their office in like a storage cabinet. But I really wanted them to play into that and make like everyone's got like a coat hanger in their office and she's got like a cabinet or something to really be like, we understand. Like, I mean, oh, we lost Sly. Bye.
That's actually a really good point, though. Like, if
yeah.
they're going to require her to be She-Hulk at work, they should provide her furniture that is sized appropriately.
Like nothing in that office was sized to me.
Yeah.
And like a mini fridge. And she's like 6'7". I'm like, could we not get her a full-size fridge or put the fridge somewhere where she doesn't have to like get on her hands and knees every time she wants a cold water?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, I know it's like a status thing, but there was so much unused space in that office. Like the desk was in the corner.
Functional minimalism.
And then it was just like coffee table, couch,
Yeah.
couch. Like,
Yeah.
where are you getting your work actually
As a
done?
person who gets anxious about large open spaces, that would not be a productive office space for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alexis, did you come up with your Hulk moment of the week, or do you want to just keep going?
It was that none of the reporters were convincing as news reporters. That was
I had the same thought when I was watching. I was like, oh, this is bad. Especially the guy that was outside.
Yeah, nobody
Yeah.
had the cadence right. Like, especially the one that really hit me was the woman at the very end that's like outside the prison. Like none of that was, you know, like news reporters, especially because they're reading a prompter, they have a very like distinct way that they speak. We now use that like modern American accent. It used to be transatlantic. We don't call it that anymore. I can't remember what we call it, but and like none of that was happening. So that was, yeah. Anytime I have to agree with Dean Devlin, I get mad.
The week of the reporters, both shows this week had questionable reporters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do an extra few minutes here since we have a lot to talk about with She-Hulk. We don't want to cut the show short. So everyone's in luck. We're getting a little bit of an extra long episode this week. I love hypothetical questions. It's like one of my favorite things we do on the show is just like throwing around hypotheticals to make sure everyone's coming in on the same page. So I thought we'd ask, in the totally hypothetical scenario where someone doesn't have context about who Abomination is.
Oh, yeah. Like maybe there's somebody out there in the world who's never seen The Incredible Hulk. Like, I don't know who that would be.
We want to really cater to everyone at the show.
Right.
And we want to make sure no one feels gatekept.
Yeah. There's no barrier to entry here.
No shame. So like, I thought like, first I was like, maybe we can do a panel on it. But then I thought, you know, I do a lot of talking on the show. So what if I pass the mic? And then I thought like, you know, Marissa also does a lot of talking on the show. So maybe Marissa and I will hand the floor over to Sly and Alexis.
Yeah.
To handle a totally hypothetical scenario about.
In that hypothetical scenario, I feel like there are some questionable assumptions. Like maybe the assumption that Alexis has watched that film more than once when it came out. And you know, I do a lot of talking on this show, so I just think it would be best.
Well, maybe
is this where
like
we're singling me out?
Maybe there's like a person that hosts a podcast about MCU movies.
Talk about it. Otherwise, I'll Wikipedia it real quick and just read it verbatim.
All right, so here's the thing. I host a podcast where we watch non-MCU Marvel movies. So I could tell you all about, I guess it's 2004. I think I called it 2003 last week. The 2004 Hulk movie, I can tell you all about that. I have seen the 2008 movie. So, you know, I can give you some context, but listen, I have also only seen these ones. And my favorite Hulk appearance is in hit breakout video game Marvel's Avengers. That's a joke for all you non-video game people. It flopped disastrously, but that's my favorite appearance of Bruce Banner in a like Marvelish context. But yeah, let's talk about 2008 Hulk. What do you want to know? I like post some questions at me.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do for the sake of time. If Abomination had like a Tinder / Bumble / Grinder like profile, okay, what would like the tagline be? and like a top 3 crimes that he would like straight up admit to in his profile to be like, these are some of my crimes. These are like some of the things I've done.
Sly's face when that escalated from Bumble to Grindr.
I was gonna say like Hinge, okay, Cupid.
It went from like, okay, I'm, you know, I'll just put up with Liz to like, what the fuck was that? And like,
All right.
Oh god, that was
Let's
great.
see. Okay, so these are all question marks. So our lovely audience, feel free to correct me. So I think his hypothetical bio would read Russian born, UK raised, special forces on loan to US government, received knockoff super soldier serum, conned or forced, or I don't know how, the scientist dude, Mr. Blue, I forget his real name, into exposing me to Bruce Banner's blood, which then formed the abomination form of my transformation. And then went on current location in prison for being used as weapon by U.S. government. Poly open new relationships.
Well, clearly he's got 7 wives. I think he specifically said wives.
Soulmates.
Soulmates.
Neutral.
Thank you.
Soulmates.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Love
But
that.
they all bought him a house together. A house or an island?
A piece of land.
Wants them to buy him a large piece.
Oh,
A
yeah.
large piece of land.
Okay.
What would
They
be
have not
like?
yet.
What would be like his top 3 hobbies?
Haiku.
Haiku writing.
Haiku.
Prison meditation. And
and something with
Smash
like
mixed martial
parkour
arts.
or shooting or something.
Yeah.
Fight
No,
club?
it's mixed martial arts against Wong.
Oh,
yeah, it's the weird.
I was trying to think back to like the university scene from the movie, and he's very bouncy and jumpy.
I don't know what that
and
means.
That's the vibe I was going on. If you look at the show doc, there is an article that I linked for everybody's convenience, about how She-Hulk reframed his story.
Okay, what is great about this is I put article and then didn't link the article, and that's the article that I was talking about.
Beautiful.
So perfection. Perfect.
One
I
of
mean,
the
I
MCU's
have to
oldest
say-
villains. Go ahead.
I couldn't really tell if he was bullshitting Jen, but it seems like both Bruce and Wong are chill with him. And Bruce and Wong seem to be in contact with each other. So, like, I don't know.
It gave me a little bit of No Way Home energy with like the villains having a little bit of a redemption situation. And I know that probably wasn't intentional, but I felt a little bit of that kind of vibe.
Yeah,
Spouses, big spouses. Thank you, JJ.
very that.
Oh, I didn't see it. Aw, thanks.
Okay, so I feel like we're all hypothetically caught up on who Abomination is now, which is thank you so much for.
Yeah, because we all were caught up.
We
the
all
whole
knew.
time.
We were all
Yeah.
confident, fully.
But now you're all caught up.
Thank you, Marissa, for that. Very correct. Let's talk about. Let's hit off a few points pretty quickly here about some of the things that happened in this episode. We all had notes on the way that mails have been written in the show so far, and I think all of us, if not most of us, called it the line in the bar. There's a hot chick. I'm going to go talk to it.
Mm-hmm.
I
said I refuse to learn this man's name, and I stand by that.
I honestly think that is one of the best lines the MCU has ever written. And I'm willing to forgive at least one poorly written Natasha line in favor of that entering MCU canon. I haven't decided which one yet.
Yeah.
I'm willing to forgive one poorly written Natasha moment in exchange for that line because it felt
No,
so
not a
accurate.
full
Problem.
moment. A single line of
Sorry,
dialogue.
thank you. A single
It
line
has
of
to be
dialogue.
a single line of dialogue.
Yep.
Here's my problem. They did not frame that in any way. So the people who would say something like that would hear that and not see a problem with it. And that was my biggest problem with the moment, is there was no sort of pushback on that, and I feel like it could possibly be more reinforcing that that is an appropriate way to talk about women to some men. So I was not a fan of that moment.
I hope at this point those men have stopped watching this show.
I hope that it's a moment that ages well and he gets his ass handed to him in a few episodes and then it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Alexis, I know you had some strong feelings about that one.
I mean, it was more of the same. I think similarly to like people that last week claimed that like, oh, it didn't, like I'm going to talk about the Bruce Banner Tony Stark relationship in this show instead of talking about what it's actually doing for women, or like, I'm going to say that's too heavy-handed. To me, those people were either with Sly not going to find anything wrong with the line, or we're going to also say that that line was over the top, and that that's not how men, capital M men, actually talk and act. And I was like, but I've experienced that, so like that was really my only comment.
And I think I had a very strong reaction to that line because as a non-woman, I've been called it in a very different context. So that one really got to me.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that there is a grand takedown of this man that makes lines like this sit differently. That's why I'm appreciative of it. I'm like, okay, if we're really setting up this guy to be the embodiment of all that is bad, then let's, like, I'm going to stop my thought immediately because we're live on air. Next, we will return. We'll return to accurate men derogatory writing in future after parties. How's that sound? Family dinner. Let's talk about that next. We had this family dinner scene. I'm jumping around the show, Doc. Is that why I'm getting the face?
No, you're getting that face because I have a note. Let me just read this note. I thought this was supposed to be a close-knit family. Is this how people with real families interact?
Yes.
Is this what family dinners are like for most people? No wonder people don't want them.
Yes.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah. Okay. That was my question. Is this how real families interact? And with that, I am glad that I never see family.
Valid.
Yeah.
I do want to say that Nicholas Cirillo coming in as the cousin Ched, he's in Outer Banks. He's the one of the head drug dealers in Outer Banks. He is a phenomenal actor. I screamed when I saw him on screen. I am so happy he's in this show. I did not realize he had been cast. Hooray for him. Happy to see him in the MCU. I hope Ched continues to be bothersome.
See, my thing about the family dinner is it's like, oh, wow, look, you have a family that's all alive and both of your parents are there and they're together. But it's worse than if they were all dead. Like, it's a balance of like, her line early on in the episode of like, superheroes are always like billionaires or something, or adult orphans. And it's like, well, either you have a family like this or you're an adult orphan. It's like, not every family is the cons, and the balance. It's a very stereotypical TV comedy family to me, which almost all TV comedy writers seem to hate their families. So it was a pretty consistent trope to me.
I feel like you said that, and Alexis had like 5 academic articles pop into her head immediately about like psychology and comedy and why people are good comedy writers based on their family drama.
Totally. It wasn't me laughing because my husband was clever. It was because Marissa made me think of smart things. Yeah.
Let's keep moving. How's that sound? Jen being hired specifically as She-Hulk and the roles of women in the workplace. Do we think this was ethical? Did it piss you off? I would like to start with like a sub point, not my entire thought, but one sub point that really bothered me. Any gender, listen up. You do not accept a job without carefully reviewing a contract and negotiating your salary. You do not accept the first number they give, and you ask for what you're worth. And I know it's like she's like desperate for a job or whatever, but in the real world, you should never accept a job until you have seen a contract. You have like talked to all the people you need to talk to. You've negotiated your number. Like, that made me so upset. I was like, no, that's like, we have fought so hard for negotiation in the workplace. After she had just made such a point about maternity and healthcare and all this other stuff. I'm like, what? This is where you ask those questions.
Also, I love best friend paralegal Nikki. I love her. But why is she encouraging her to take this job? Like, okay, yes, I understand there is like an economic portion of it with like Jen gets hired, Nikki gets hired as well. So like obviously Nikki wants the job, but why is she encouraging her best friend to like debase herself for this job? I was really disappointed in her.
Sly?
Yeah, I just am like, speaking of lawyers, like, how are you a lawyer and not reading any of the contracts? You're not reading the contract with the firm. You're not reading the contract with the case. You're not reading any of your contract. Like, that makes you seem like a bad lawyer. And I know you're not a bad lawyer. And I want better for Jen.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that when whatever his face went up to her in the bar, he was like, can you go back to Gen form or whatever? And then she was automatically drunk. And then he pitched her the job while she was very obviously drunk.
Gross.
And he was like, that makes me more comfortable than talking to She-Hulk, even though I'm trying to hire She-Hulk. Like, the whole thing, not a fan.
Yep. Yes, 1,000% yes. I do think, like, I'm saying this not as in like I would have preferred to see this on the show we're getting. I do think that an interesting angle. You're back. Hello. Thank you for rejoining us. We missed you. I do think that an interesting choice would have been to see her like be approached properly and pitched the department and pitched the role and like shown her process of deciding if it was the right fit for her. And I think that's interesting in terms of like showing respect to her in her career and her expertise, and like if she had been given due diligence, and like that's something that a lot of women don't get in the recruitment process. And I understand why they're doing it the way they're doing it, because it's like leading to all these bigger points about like women in the workplace and stuff. So like I'm not saying I would have preferred that plot, but I do think that could have been a very interesting narrative. And what I had expected was for her to, and I don't know what's happening with Daredevil, but I thought for sure she was going to get a call saying like, come work with us. And they were going to do exactly that and make it like she joined scrappy startup land with like Daredevil, and like they get due diligence for her to do whatever she needs to do kind of thing. So I was a little bit disappointed that we're getting this like other story, but I do think there's a lot of value in the story they are telling. It's just like, we don't really get a lot of representation of like, and we don't, not even representation of women getting due diligence in the workplace, but like in general, we don't tell stories about women going through good recruitment processes and like being treated with respect in their onboarding. Like we just don't do that as much as we should. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a very TV job offer. It's not a real world job offer in any way. But also, I think it's setting up, sort of as you were saying, Liz, a larger comment about, you know, what portions of the world, probably the majority of the world, prefer She-Hulk to Jen, and, you know, the awkward, clumsy running into a glass door Jen Walters versus strong and confident She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alexis, do you have anything to add? No? All right. Let's keep going for the sake of time, because I know we're going to be talking about this throughout the weeks anyway. Okay, this was almost my Hulka moment of the week, but then I wanted to talk about the other stuff. Am I the only one that does not know why Bruce is in space? Did I miss something? Why is that man in space? Where is he going? Is he going to find Harry Styles?
Answer or a real answer?
I want both. Like I think my first question is, do we already know where he's going and Liz has forgotten? Because I'm fine if that's the case.
I don't know that we totally know. I think it has something to do with the post-credits from Shang-Chi and probably Far From Home. Like, I think it's a Nick Fury situation. But also, I don't really care. I know it's like a Sicarian messenger craft or something, which doesn't really make sense because Grandmaster like did not enjoy Bruce Banner.
It is a Sicarian Class 8 courier craft.
Huh.
And I want to talk about, on that note, while we're here, can we talk about how he had cell service from space in that ship?
Yeah. We absolutely
That was my
can.
question.
But to be fair, it felt like a very Doctor Who, like, first time Rose goes to space, beep, boop, bop, bop, now you can call your mom situation. Alexis knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Also, side story that's totally not important. My mother this week, we're working in a estate sale, and there were all these like Christmas Village pieces. And last year, I was on this like rampage to get pieces for my Christmas Village that were not white. Like I wanted a diverse Christmas Village, and this was very hard to find, right? So we're going through all these pieces, and she finds this red phone booth, and she goes, "Look, it's Doctor Who, right?"
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, you sweet, sweet woman. You were so close, and yet so far away."
Incredible. I do think that hanging up a phone call by going hyper speed in space is one of the sassier choices ever made in the MCU. So like in terms of sassy Kevin Feige, I think that's like a really good like scale to now have in place. Like on a scale of 1 to Bruce Banner hanging up on you by entering hyperspeed, how sassy does this moment rate? I really enjoyed it from the drama perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we don't know where Bruce is going. I do like the question of, do we care where Bruce is going?
Yeah.
I do. I'm intrigued. But also in my head, as soon as I saw he was in space, my thought was, Harry Styles, is he going to find Eros? So that's probably why I'm investing them. Like, space, Harry Styles is in space. Anytime we're in space, I get closer to seeing more Harry Styles in the MCU.
I mean, we did finally get a like throwaway reference to the Celestial in the middle of the ocean on the like.
Did we?
Yeah, it was a very brief blink and you'll miss it.
If you'll go to the
article
other link
title.
I have at the bottom of the show doc, it has the screen cap from her.
It's like her search
laptop.
results.
That's what.
Search thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm opening it up.
And so we got an Ant-Man reference. We got a Norse mythology tab, the Iron Man shoe ad or whatever, and
Which apparently Tony Stark is Michael Jordan, which I really don't enjoy.
Yeah, that's like a whole thing that like I think I need to unpack sometime.
Also, Shang-Chi wears Jordans.
I mean, maybe it's just like a competitive brand.
I don't think Pepper Potts would give them the trademark for that.
Think Yeezys, but Tony's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just feel like Pepper wouldn't sign off on that. I feel like
I think she would.
the Iron Man 3s can expect a lawsuit.
Oh yeah, maybe.
that would be
Filed by
fun.
Jen Walters.
Who? I was gonna say who's gonna
It's a case.
represent her?
It's all coming back to a case.
I will say that screenshot screen also did tease/hint the existence of Wolverine, which was very exciting as somebody who just watched X-Men First Class for the first time a couple weeks ago.
It should be very exciting to the Canadian currently on the podcast.
Oh, should it?
He's
Oh,
Canadian.
shit.
The
He's Canadian.
Wolverine is Canadian.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Here's the thing.
Breaking
my
news.
first-
Canadian reference. This is Liz's excited face.
Drink.
My first interaction with a Wolverine in any context was in the Echo arc of the Daredevil comics, in which he's First Nation. So the fact that nobody talks about the fact that he's First Nations steams my nuggets. But yes, also Canadian.
One of my favorite.
That actually
flies.
came up in the
Not a
new
science, I stole it.
the new Wolverine run. That
Oh, did it?
and there's quite a push that if he was to be involved in the MCU again, that be properly represented. But you know,
Yeah.
our track record with that is
So,
great.
episode 2 of She-Hulk in the bag. We'll be back next week with more She-Hulk commentary. Next week's episode is going to be a little bit different for us, isn't it? I believe. Because how many co-hosts are going to be away next week? So we are getting back to our roots. And it's a classic Liz and Alexis special, everybody. We are so excited. Not that we want Marissa and Sly to be gone, but we have not done a show, Alexis and Liz, since like we were trying to figure out what this show was way back a year ago. So we're like going all the way back here. It's going to be a fun one. We'll talk episode 3 of She-Hulk. We'll probably find all kinds of stuff to talk about. Alexis, you ready for this?
no. It also just occurred to me that like the first time around, I also had the comfort of Sly always in the comments.
That's true.
I'll try and watch.
But it's going to be great. I have really been looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have so many new lovely faces that come every week. So everyone can come out next week and have a good old-fashioned throwback episode with us. It'll be so fun. Now, to end the show, Sly came up with yet another brilliant question.
Why don't you save it for next week?
Let's save it for next week then, y'all. It's a little teaser. You're going to come back next week and find out exactly what our fun little game is. I'm Producer Liz. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Producer Liz. Believe it or not, I actually have a couple big announcements that are coming next week that are like actually announcements and actually a really big deal, which is very thrilling. Thank you for 40K on TikTok. I'm so excited. Thank you for 700 on Instagram. Also very excited about that. Big news coming. Big news. Big things happening in the land of producer Liz. So it's all coming out next week. Marissa?
I'm Marissa. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Missabobissa, specifically TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And I don't have exciting announcements coming soon, but I'm sure gonna be chugging along. And if you want to come to the party, hang out with me.
Sly?
That was a great plug for myself.
I am Slyclone MC everywhere on the internet. I am also Slyclone at PAX next week, which is why I will not be on the show. So if you are in Seattle, if you are near Seattle, if you are coming to Seattle for the show, I will be there. I will be working. I don't know my schedule yet, but I will probably be in one of the satellite theaters. So if you're at PAX, come say hey. My enforcer name is Sly. Say consistent branding. We love that. But yeah, I'm very excited. It's my first PAX back since East 2020 was my last show I worked. So it's gonna be a very different experience this time around. But I just can't wait to be back in working a convention.
I'm so excited for you.
Yeah.
Alexis?
I am Alexis, and even though my husband reminded me last week to change my name-me thing, I didn't. So if you need Marvel Comics and MCU knowledge, you can go to Alexis Blake Reads Comics, where all my videos are still up. But if you were looking for me now, I am at just Alexis Blake on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, where I discuss grad school and my life, and I rant about my thesis.
We love thesis season and we'll do the after party. We've been through quite a few thesis moments on this show. So I feel like we need to like go iterate on a game involving like thesis updates or something. Marissa, can you please let the people know where your shirt is from?
It's from
It's
Target.
the shirt, right?
No, it's not the shirt. I learned today
Okay.
it's the second shirt that Bunky and I both own. It's a different shirt that we both have.
Incredible. It's so good. I'm obsessed. So we need like a Bunky miss a wardrobe swap at some point, I think is what I'm hearing. Or like a, I don't know.
If only I looked good in overalls, I could really complete the Bunky agenda.
I think you could make it happen. I really think you could. All right. This has been the after party. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next week for a throwback special with Alexis and Liz that we have not planned yet. So it will be a surprise to you and us what we talk about.
That's just like how we used to do it. No plan.
It's
Just
true.
vibes.
It's true. Just vibes for 2 hours. We will, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say follow us at After Party Show everywhere. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications for next week's show. Bye, everybody.